Neil had never been afraid of the dark. He didn't believe in ghosts, spirits, or any of the nonsense people talked about. In fact, he loved making fun of his friends who shuddered at horror stories. So when he attended his friend's wedding in a remote village and they warned him about the eerie road leading back to the city, he laughed. Come on, guys. Ghosts? Really? Neil scoffed, shaking his head. You all watch too many horror movies. His friend Ravi gave him a grave look. I'm serious, Neil. People have disappeared on that road. Their cars were found abandoned, but their bodies never recovered. Neil chuckled. Yeah. Maybe they got tired of this boring village and ran away. His friends looked uneasy, but Neil didn't care. He waved them off, got into his car, and started the engine. The night was dark. The air was thick with mist. The narrow road twisted through dense forests, and his headlights barely cut through the fog. As he drove, the silence pressed in around him. Not a single other vehicle was on the road. After about 20 minutes, his car sputtered, the engine coughed, and then silence. Neil frowned. What the? His fuel gauge was full. The car had been running perfectly fine just minutes ago. He tried the ignition again. Click, click, nothing. Cursing under his breath, he stepped out of the car. The cold air sent a shiver down his spine. He popped open the hood, but everything looked fine. As he scratched his head in confusion, something moved in the corner of his eye. A figure, a woman. She stood on the side of the road, her white sari fluttering slightly in the night breeze. Her face was obscured by long, unkempt hair. Neil frowned. What the? He turned towards her. Hey, do you need help? No answer. She stood still, like a statue. A sudden gust of wind blew, carrying with it a whisper, a faint, eerie voice that sent chills down his spine. Go back. His throat went dry. He swallowed, forcing a smirk. Nice try, lady. You almost got me. But deep inside, a strange uneasiness crept up his spine. The woman took a step forward. Something about the way she moved. Too slow, too unnatural. Neil instinctively took a step back. Then she lifted her head. Neil's blood ran cold. Her face was all wrong. Her skin was too pale, almost grey, stretched tightly over her bones. Her eyes were hollow, black pits, and her mouth was too wide, stretching into an unnatural grin. She whispered again, "You should have listened." Neil felt something shift behind him. A cold breath tickled his ear. His body froze. With every ounce of willpower, he spun around. Nothing. When he turned back, the woman was gone. The road was empty. His car roared to life. The headlights flickered back on. The engine purred, as if nothing had ever been wrong. His hands trembled as he gripped the steering wheel. He slammed the car into gear and sped away. His pulse pounded in his ears. As he drove, he dared to glance at the rearview mirror. A shadow sat in the back seat. The whisper came again, this time from directly behind him. You never believed in us, but now we believe in you. The last thing Neil saw was a skeletal hand reaching for his shoulder. His scream never left the road.